Social workers who were social workers 25, 30 years ago are really pleased about personalisation because it's good old-fashioned social work again. It's enabling people to do the things they want to do. And I think once somebody starts to write their own job description for a personal assistant, the psychological change in them is massive.
I think the key points that we've learnt along the way, the first one I would say to anybody is don't think this will be an easy project and don't think this will be an easy transformation, because it won't. But I think the first time you get somebody who comes to you and say, my life has been transformed by this new approach, makes all of the kind of the pain and the trials and tribulations worth it.
When we first started on this route with personalisation, I think we all got so excited about it that we missed some of the fundamental stuff. If somebody's been trained 5 years ago, that needs to be refreshed. And now we've got our head around that, and the service users have got the head around that.
We've learned that staff culture is an absolute must. You know, people have got to really realise what this is about, that this isn't about de-skilling, this isn't about taking away something from people. It's about adding to their role. It's about supporting them to work in a slightly different way.
The actions that I take as a finance professional when I'm creating systems or bringing in new initiatives, what impact is that going to have on the person? And I think when we very first started out on our journey, we did the training for personalisation and self-directed support jointly with myself and social care professionals. So we delivered it together. And what we tried to say to everybody is, whenever you're struggling around this initiative, this changing process, which is inevitably very difficult, just take yourself back and imagine it was you.
People generally don't want their personal care provided by somebody they don't know, but what they want is somebody to do their daughter's ironing, friends shopping, friends ironing, friends gardening, to enable their friend or their relative to actually come and provide their personal care. So we haven't had a big issue about a lack of service availability because people aren't buying traditional services, and the traditional services that they are buying are the ones that we've got in place. We're working with our providers around beginning to kind of change the way they work.
If an individual decides to become a micro-commissioner and take a direct payment, the legislation is there to direct them where they need to be to safeguard them.
So the providers are beginning to diversify a little bit, but the supply hasn't been a big issue. It's not been something we've faced because people aren't buying block services. You know, they're buying what's already out there, what other citizens just want and are using naturally.
It's around deploying the resource that you get as a personal budget in the way that best suits you. So if someone wants to take a direct payment and they feel that they're not able to manage the payroll, for instance, then they can go to a support provider. Every person will be different.
This is not just fiddling around the edges and changing a bit of policy here and there. It's a whole service change. It's a transformation of the way that services need to be delivered and received.
The key to enabling people to buy things of their own is having really flexible direct payments. So once you've got that environment where people can make choices, then what happens is the challenges come around, well, what am I going to spend my money on, what can I buy? So to enable providers to be really engaged, it's about involving them to tell them what's changing, and it's around getting yourself into a position where you're not tying your money up into blocks that you can't walk away from as people choose to take their money elsewhere.